All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dan Grieb, an executive board member, and I'm here with our executive director, Mr. Russ Beamer. Welcome, Russ.
Thanks, Dan. Great to be here.
That's wonderful to have you. Now, here's what we're doing. We're calling this the Executive Director's Cut, where we're going to do this video series once every 2 weeks-ish and send that out to HomeAid America, people who are on our boards, that are actively involved with us, and people that just want to know more information about HomeAid Orlando. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So let's start here. What does HomeAid Orlando even do?
You know, HomeAid Orlando creates community service opportunities for home builders, building industry professionals, really anyone who is concerned about homelessness in Central Florida should get involved with HomeAid because HomeAid was founded 30 years ago in California, 5 years ago here in Orlando, and we unite the resources of the home building industry to help homeless service agencies do more for their clients.
So basically, you provide hope to those that provide hope, and what you do is you kind of stand in the gap and provide services so that those that provide services can do it at a higher level. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. You know, people want to build something for someone who's homeless, and that's not what we do. So we're not here building houses for individuals, but we're building places and renovating and cleaning up and fixing up all those places where people get services on their journey through homelessness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so many nuances to HomeAid Orlando, and the reality here is this whole show is for people to get an understanding of what we're doing and how we're doing it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I mean, you said we don't build houses, but in fact, you actually did build a bunch of tiny houses. And you say you don't build houses, but yet there's a bunch of townhouses you've renovated. There's some apartments you've renovated for folks who are human trafficked. So HomeAid Orlando is not just homelessness. It is those affected by homelessness all the way across the board, all here in Central Florida. So it's really an opportunity to sit on top of the homeless problem and look down and solve individual problems along the way. That's why I joined HomeAid, is because I wanted to do something at a bigger level. I was feeding homeless. I was on the board of directors of a local homeless charity. I was feeding, I was providing clothing, shelter, solving the day-to-day needs. And I wanted to rise up a little bit and provide them on more of a global level. And that's why I started up with you guys.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. We have built houses. We have renovated houses. We have built all sorts of different facilities, and we do it because these agencies can take these facilities and do more to help the community than anybody can building one house here or there for one family. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. We get involved in so many different ways, and that's the beauty of HomeAid is there's all kinds of agencies out there that need help, and that's what we're here for.
Love that. So let's get into some updates right out of the gate, okay?
Okay.
So let's start with item number 3 on our list here. We're in the process currently of doing a benefit house, our second benefit house. Tell us how that's going and where we are on that project and what it is.
Well, for anybody who hasn't heard, benefit house number 1 was built last year, closed just before the holidays. Thank you for listing it, selling it, doing all sorts of things to help support our first experience at helping HomeAid help everybody. The benefit home is a home that benefits the entire community, because it's built, sold, and then the profits go out to the community through HomeAid to help make a difference.
Love that. So basically what you did is you had a bunch of, a local builder came together, a bunch of your servicers, trade partners, funders, all came together, not just building community, but the community in general came together. They built a house. It was built at basically cost. Then it was sold at retail value, and then the proceeds were then brought back to HomeAid Orlando, of which HomeAid is doing things like renovating a kitchen for one of our homeless servicers and a bunch of other projects. So why don't we jump into some of the projects that those funds are going to be used for right out of the gate? Some ideas you have right now.
You know, there are so many needs in our community. There's just the challenge of meeting a growing demand for services. More people are homeless today than a year ago.
Right.
More people will likely be homeless a year from today than today. And that's an unfortunate trend that has been going on for years now, and we've got to turn that around and take it the other way. So we're finding projects coming out of the woodwork because of the need in the community. Every city and government agency in Florida right now is in the spotlight because they have to solve the homeless issues in their community due to the Florida legislature's new homeless, it's not It's House Bill 1365, which is a public places camping ban, basically making it illegal to be homeless.
Right, which basically means that HomeAid's going to be in more demand than ever.
Yes, and we're looking at, we've got literally governments coming to us and asking us to help use the land that they have and partner with agencies to build something. That's going on in Leesburg, in Apopka, downtown Orlando. It's happening all around us, and it's just trying to put these coalitions together to get the right infrastructure in place to meet the need.
Yeah, and you're using your leverage financially, your leadership leverage, your connections with the cities and county governments to now bring everybody together so that you can do good on a really global scale. Is that correct?
Yeah, HomeAid has had a major impact across the country for 30 years. It took a while for HomeAid Orlando to get their reputation, and now we've got people coming to us. We've got the opportunity to make a big difference. I'm super excited for everything that will unfold. I just wish we could get to it faster, you know?
Yeah, of course. Well, it all takes timing. Okay, so I think it makes sense, Russ, for us to kind of just list out a few of the things that we've already done, whether it be last month, 6 months, a year ago, so people can just get a picture of what we've done and then where we're going in terms of projects that are on the table. So one of my favorites is the very first project HomeAid ever did was at a place called One Heart for Women and Children, where we expanded their food pantry. Now, people think like, well, what's the benefit of that? Well, we expanded their food pantry, which meant that they went from being able to feed, just using a round number, these aren't actually even accurate, 300 families a day to now being able to feed 600 families a day. Like, that's what we did. That's where our money went. That's where our time, treasure, talent went to do. Give me another project that you did. Why don't you talk about the one we did in Winter Springs and then in downtown Orlando?
Well, we partner with an agency that deals with human trafficking. The Lifeboat Project is an amazing organization, and I know far more about human trafficking than I ever wanted to, but it's an important subject.
Yeah.
And it's important that organizations like the Lifeboat Project are there to help. So we went to an old rundown condo building that they were gifted in Winter Springs and took that 4-unit condo building and turned it into a 16-bed emergency shelter. Park Square Homes got $150,000 or more donated to get this done for them. And now they have this beautiful facility, which, good or bad, if you walked in there today, you would think you were at a women's dorm at a college.
Well, that's very good. I mean, listen, reality here is what we did in that project is we had women and men that were being human trafficked, some of them sexually, some of them for employment.
Yep.
And they literally have to escape their traffickers because their traffickers will come back and get them. This is a generational thing sometimes. So you've got moms who are trafficked, then daughters that are trafficked right afterwards. And those women and men are now sleeping safely and comfortably in a confidential location. Nobody knows about it except for us and obviously the Lifeboat Project. Protected by local PD, protected by the sheriff's office. They know they're there. We know they're there. They're safe, they're protected, and they're building their lives back. So, I mean, if that's all HomeAid did today or ever, we've served our mission, and we're just getting started.
And you know what's unfortunate about so many aspects of homelessness? It's not just the person that's going through it that's affected, particularly with human trafficking.
Right.
I've met family members from victims of human trafficking who are traumatized beyond belief because of the experience for their family member. And that our community, the whole fiber of our community is affected when we're dealing with homelessness and people that don't have the right support systems to help them manage their way out of it.
Love it, love it, love it. So that's one project. Another project that I'm aware that you guys did is you did a project called Freedom Ride, which is another interesting one where you guys went out and you renovated and did a lot of work at another organization that basically provides horse therapy or equine therapy for veterans who are struggling to acclimate themselves back into society, who, if we didn't do that, would be on the streets too, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. People look at it and say, what does equine therapy have to do with homelessness? Well, if a veteran has PTSD and they can't cope with life skills and can't get back on their feet, they're at the hospital receiving treatment. And Freedom Ride has a track record of helping the VA hospitals here in Orlando get these people back on their feet, back in society. So when we approached the board of directors, there's veterans on our board that all I had to do was say they're helping veterans. They're like, we need to help them. We're going to get on that. So Toll Brothers brought their resources to renovating a 90-year-old farmhouse into a beautiful office that was the headquarters for their facilities. And it's amazing to go there today and just see how this beautiful farm has developed just from the beachhead that we established with this farmhouse. So yeah, it's amazing that you can rally the community, you can rally these builders. Builders are a generous group that want to give back and improve the communities they build in, and oftentimes they just don't know how to do it.
Wonderful. Love that. Let's go to one more project that's probably the one that HomeAid Orlando is most well known for right now, and that is the tiny home project out in Leesburg. That was a project where we came together with another servicer here in Central Florida for children that are aging out of the foster care system, and we provided housing and workplace training so that they don't end up on the streets. Is that correct?
You know, I didn't realize that there's a very good chance someone aging out of foster care will be incarcerated in the next 3 or 4 years.
Three options: dead, incarcerated, or on the street.
Yeah, that's just terribly traumatic. And Forward Pass Foundation, headquartered in Leesburg, operating throughout Lake County, has for years had apartments scattered all over the place where they help these young people build lives of service for their community instead of against it. And they came to us and said, we've got this piece of property, we've got these plans, we want to build this. And Taylor Morrison did development work, Ashton Woods did the vertical construction. It turned into, you know, $1 million plus worth of work, but their original estimates from their engineers were $1.8 million to get this built. So we saved them a lot of money, and we built these 10 homes called the Cottages on Grove, where these kids now have peer support as well as oversight from Forward Pass in this cute little village that I wish everybody could see.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful, and they can see it. It's on YouTube. We're going to link in the show notes here a link to a news article, a news report that was done on that on our local news television, and you guys can see all about that. All right, so Russ, where does that leave us today? I mean, by the way, we've done a lot more projects than that. We're doing small ones, big ones. Too many to talk about right now, but what we're doing is providing hope to those that are providing hope. We're expanding their abilities to serve people on the streets today. We're providing beds for folks who are human trafficked. We're providing hope to those that are struggling with PTSD, are super important veterans, and on and on and on. And there's so many projects.
Well, just think about this. We've done $3 million worth of work across 11 projects, and we've saved those agencies $1 million of that cost, which is $1 million they now have to do more of their mission with, as opposed to getting stuff built.
So when somebody gives HomeAid $1, basically HomeAid's turning that dollar into $3 to $7 easily right out of the gate.
Well, yeah, we amplify the efforts of our home building operations. I love to say it. It's builders doing what they do best to help homeless service agencies do more of what they do best, because they don't know how to get things built, renovated, and corrected. We're seeing even some of the largest agencies in town struggle to figure out construction projects.
Yeah, well, here we go. So let's jump into some of the things. Like you said, you're feeling some pressure right now at HomeAid Orlando because of the homeless camping ban, HB 1365, which is an executive order that basically says that camping on the streets is now illegal.
If you sleep anywhere on public property, you're subject to arrest. If the county or the jurisdiction doesn't take some action to remove someone sleeping in public property, any citizen or business of that jurisdiction can complain and literally sue that governing agency. And we haven't seen that happen yet, but we have seen arrests jump already since January 1 for people in public places needing to go to jail.
Yep.
That's terrible.
Yep. So, okay. So as a result of that, plus, our economy, the strain, our climate attracts folks to come here as well. You've got projects that you're looking at right now with your executive committee that is as low as $30,000 to $40,000 and up to the $1 million range right now. Give me a few things you got maybe in the hopper or the goings on in the weeks to come here at HomeAid Orlando.
I am super excited for the full circle moment. We talked about our first project with One Heart for Women and Children.
Yeah.
They want to build a new headquarters operations center about 2 miles away from where they are today.
Down on OBT?
Yes.
Yep.
They've got the land for it, and they're trying to get the plans finished. And as early as this coming week, we may have plan completion and be able to turn this into the start of a construction project to build a multi-million-dollar facility and save One Heart for Women and Children money in the process so they don't have to fundraise or have as much debt on this building.
Yeah, and what One Heart for Women and Children does, again, is they provide services to homeless people, to folks that are experiencing homelessness or getting close to experiencing homelessness. They provide IDs. They do just so much. And what's really amazing about them is this is founded by a woman who was literally on drugs, on the street, doing it all by herself. And we're coming up behind her and providing her with the support so she can do it at a higher level. And she's making a huge difference. Matter of fact, I just read an article, and I might be wrong, but I think Tyler Perry and his show is going to come and interview her, one of 5 women or 3 women in the country that they're coming to interview in the next couple of weeks.
We have amazing people that are working behind the scenes, basically. We don't know all the stuff that's going on in our community, but to understand what One Heart does, it's an amazing operation that has worked through hurricanes, personal challenges, physical health issues among their staff, and they are just and the other thing is most of the people that work there or volunteer there are former clients.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I was on the board there. All right, so let's cue so folks who want to help out, one of the things that you're always asking for are something called a builder captain. What's a builder captain?
A builder captain, think of it as the GC. It's the person that gets the work done. The builder captain is typically a company that has a trade base to get all the work done on a project. So, a builder captain is typically a home builder or a commercial contractor or a renovation company that then comes, they come and examine the plans, look at the site, figure out the project, and then they activate their trade base and say, hey, please help how you can. This is not expected to be 100% donation. As I say, every dollar we save them is a dollar in their mission. We typically save them 30 to 50% of the cost.
Love that. So a builder captain is someone that's just going to kind of be the general contractor, the point man through the project, which a lot of these builders, they do that. So it's just project management, and you are always looking for more because the needs are many, right?
Right. And people, if you think, I'm not a builder, how can I help? Well, like I said, they don't get 100% donation. Perhaps you're touched by One Heart for Women and Children, and you say, I want to be a sponsor of the One Heart project.
Yep.
Well, then you can make a donation to lower the cost of that project directly if that's what you want to do. So you can sponsor our golf tournament. You can sponsor a hygiene care kit day, which we can talk more about later.
We're going to.
Yeah, but I think you can just say, I love what you're doing, and I want to help HomeAid do more.
Yep. So like these hands right here, they do not swing hammers. I don't know if you're aware of that. I'm in sales and leadership training. I own a warranty company, and I do not swing a hammer. I don't cut things. I'm actually a fundraising guy. Like one of the things I do is I just give my money and provide my leadership, which is as equally important to HomeAid Orlando as the physically building of things. And well, I know that, you know that.
You are our fundraising leader, and I thank you for all the efforts for the things you brought to HomeAid, because if there were an example you could set and say, hey, how do I help HomeAid in a big way? Well, just look at what Dan Grieb does daily.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And the reality here is I'm one of many. I mean, nobody does it alone, and it's important that we see that. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So we do have a construction committee, and that's led by Chris Cubero and Mary Ashey. So if you've got any interest in being on our construction committee, whether you have a construction background or not, let us know. We'll connect you with them. And then our benefit home is led by the one and only Mr. Seth Lewis. He's putting that together. We're building the house up in Ocala. We bought the lot. We've got that funded. We're looking to get a funding partner. Basically, we're looking for somebody, Russ, to provide us with a non-interest loan secured by real estate. 1 or 2 people maximum. It's about $150,000. The last person did it, had a ton of success, isn't able to do it this go round. But we're looking for someone else to do it. And like I said, it's a no-brainer because it's secured by real estate. Basically, the house will be built for 50% of its value. So that means it's going to have 50% equity. And all we need is someone to literally say, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $150,000 to build the house and then just pay me back. No interest at the end. And that's it. It worked out great. I've got all the paperwork on that. If somebody is interested in doing that, they can call you. They can call me. Simple, easy. We should have that closed out in the next 2 weeks. I'm available to talk about it. It's a passion of mine, obviously, Russ. Same with you. Here's something cool. So at HomeAid Orlando, we have kind of 3 ways you can get involved. We have our executive committee, which is kind of like the steering committee of our HomeAid. Then we have our executive board, and those are our board members. They're the committee leaders. They're the movers and shakers after that. Then we have this other really cool group that's kind of like an entry level into HomeAid, and we call that our advisory council. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And our advisory council is a bunch of young, aggressive, hungry people that are, not quite ready to step up to our executive board, but are wanting to get their hands dirty and do some stuff. And I think they just did a project recently. Tell me about that.
The advisory council, led by your friend and mine, Sophia
Oh my
Magaro
gosh.
with Florida Paints.
By the way, saleswoman of the year, first woman salesperson in the history of Florida Paints.
She
does not like golf.
but is a dynamo. To meet
Yes.
Sophia, you will not forget it.
To meet her is to know her.
But yeah, Sophia Magaro, who leads our advisory council and reports to the board of directors
Yeah.
on their activities, she just put together a Care Day service project with the Christian Service Center downtown. About a dozen people came down to do a bunch of different tasks on their campus and got a big education. That's, the advisory council is really a communication network for HomeAid Orlando.
Love that.
A bunch of people left the Christian Service Center energized for what we can do to help others in the community.
Yeah, congratulations to all our folks on the advisory council. Sophia, thank you for your leadership on that. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that she's doing and that group is doing. And what's really cool is when we do a Care Day, whether it be advisory council, executive committee, executive board, everybody's invited. And I've got some photos. We're going to post that on here. And there was people on our executive committee, our executive board, our advisory council. They were all there doing good work here in our community. So I love that. And then we recently also had a little mixer and get together. Tell me about that.
Yeah, and Christina Cox, what a great asset for
New
HomeAid
VP
Orlando.
of sales for a builder here in town.
Yeah, I mean,
congratulations to her.
She deserves it because you can just see the goodness pouring out of her when she just puts heart and soul into gathering all of our group together to just get to know each other better. It's truly a mixer for the people who are on the board, people who are interested in the board, people that want to join the advisory committee, and we've gone to restaurants. Well, this time we just went to the Home Builders Association, and we had a chef who met us at our first mixer and said, "I'd really like to help you guys." Well, he cooked for us this last get together.
Love that. Whenever you can break bread with people and build relationships, that's really important. One of the things I always say is you can do well while doing good, which means, listen, if you want to advance yourself, move your business forward, learn new skills, learn new leadership skills, like HomeAid Orlando is a place for that. For me, I have a good business, but I'm in the room with some of the biggest thinkers in Central Florida. And when I'm in a room with them, my thinking is elevated. That's the give back to HomeAid Orlando for me. Yes, I've put up some money. Yes, I've put up some time. Yeah, I've done some things for HomeAid, but HomeAid's done equally as much for me. I did really well by doing good. And that's what we want. We want great people whose hearts are in the right place, coming together and learning from each other and building great lives together.
I just saw all that unfold at that last mixer where one of our newest board members, because he loved the HomeAid mission, Sophia gave the mission statement to this guy who said, "I want to join HomeAid and make a difference." And then he shows up and he goes, "I didn't know this guy was on the board. I didn't know that guy was on the board. This is the Cool Kids Club."
There you go. That's the way it works. So let's, as we start to wrap up here, let's talk about our next episode, which will be March 10th. Progress on our project. So what's going on down at the Christian Service Center, their kitchen renovation? Give me a quick 1 minute on that.
My projects are like my kids. I could talk all day about every one of them.
That's why I said 1 minute.
The 1 minute summary is that the kitchen renovation in a kitchen that serves 400 or more meals a day is in bad repair, is certainly long overdue for fixing up. And we've got a team of commercial kitchen designers, of commercial contractors. Mary Ashey's leading the charge, and they're trying to figure out what this should be to help all those people, because it hasn't worked well for a while. They want to make sure it's done right, and then it's just trying to get all that stuff done at the least possible cost for those people. So we're getting ready to put the builder captain team together. We're still developing the project, but again, that's another. But next time we meet, we should have that thing fully developed and ready to talk in great detail about.
Right. So here's the reality of that. We're going to go from serving 400 meals to probably 800 meals, and even if we could get to 800 meals, there'd still be hungry mouths to be fed here in Central Florida. So that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that. Number 2, Fane House property expansion on the Orange County land. Now, for those that don't know about Fane House, I'll quickly set it up. Fane House is run by a guy by the name of Jeff Fane. I've been to his events before. Ex-NFL football player, played at Notre Dame, product of the foster care system, has decided that he would take what's called the hero's journey and come back and serve people just like him. So he is another provider to folks that are aging out of the foster care system. Is that correct? And what are we doing for them?
Well, we've done several small projects for the Fane House. I mean, they're doing wonderful work, and they're changing lives just as people are becoming adults. Yeah. And instead of being 40 years of wandering and using up resources in the community, they're creating community leaders who are serving the community and helping everybody. So kudos to Jeff and Brittany Fane for what they do. We're trying to help them expand their campus onto adjacent land owned by Orange County, because Orange County, with the new homeless camping ban, is trying to show positive activity to meet the needs of the homeless population.
Love that. So basically, they're going to provide more services at a higher level and job training. That's their goal. And they're going to, again, this is something you talk to Russ and I privately about if you have any questions. But basically what they're doing is they're looking to bring onto that land a bunch of service providers that can serve the needs of the folks over there in, is that West Orange County at this point? Is that almost west?
Yeah.
That Hiawassee area over there. Beautiful. Love that. Now, got one more to talk about. We've got Dave's House out in Sanford duplex project. I don't know much about that one, so I'm going to have to let you take it.
Wow. Dave's House. Okay. They help people with severe mental illness.
I did hear this one. Keep going.
They're a long-term business. I've met the founders of Dave's House, who actually started in Virginia and then opened a campus here in Florida. I can't remember how many years ago, but they are taking people who are struggling to cope with community, with life skills, and they are giving them a place to thrive and be the best version of themselves. And listening to the families talk about it, it's both heartbreaking and uplifting when you hear these stories, because you realize how people have been marginalized and they've found hope and help at a place like Dave's House. And now Dave's House wants to recreate a campus setting in Sanford. They've got a 5-acre piece of ground. We're hopefully going to help them demolish, or there's one single family house on it, and they're going to demolish that and build 8 duplexes and a clubhouse to help, 16 people or 16 families that need help in these duplexes. And it's just an exciting project. It's a multi-million-dollar project. We know we can make a big difference for them. They've spent a long time developing it. We've actually worked with Dave's House trying to look at other projects in the past that didn't develop, but this has got the plans developed, and this is going to happen. Love it, love it, love it.
So summarizing where we are currently, you've got obviously One Heart for Women and Children. That's going to be on OBT, helping solve some homeless problems down there, feeding folks, clothing folks, doing what they do best down there. You've got the Fane House, which is going to be helping folks who are aging out of the foster care system over near Hiawassee. You've got Dave's House down in Sanford. You've got the Christian Service Center downtown Orlando, looking to expand their meal process there, of course, amongst other things that you're going to help them with. And there's amazing opportunities for our local leaders to get involved with HomeAid so that they can do good work right here in Central Florida. Now, here's the interesting thing. If someone was to ask us, what does HomeAid do? We would say we provide hope to those that provide hope. Well, here we are. Fane House is probably going to struggle to get that project done if we don't get involved. Though they might get it done with or without us, but if we get involved, it's guaranteed it'll get done because we're really great at what we do. Christian Service Center, they've been struggling with this kitchen project for a long time. HomeAid gets involved, all of a sudden things start moving forward quicker. Doesn't mean they couldn't do it without us, but with us, we're turbocharging the process. Dave's House, mental health issues in Sanford. I mean, we're getting ahead of a lot of problems here. We're actively solving problems in Central Florida because of who we are. We're business people from across Central Florida that are looking to do good in our community, and we're doing good. Here's the evidence. When you give $1 to HomeAid, here's $1 at work. $1 becomes $3 to $7 to $10 right here. We've got the plans, and we're going to talk more about that on our next episode. So we've got a couple other things going on. So from what I understand, we've got a couple new board members, some exciting people getting involved with HomeAid, folks who were kind of not sure about what was going on are now like, I want on that. So who are we adding to our board of directors?
Well, we've got the who's who of home building. I'm so grateful for the people that have been with us from the beginning, and now we're seeing more builders with interest, major trade companies that want to be part of our organization. I do want to say welcome to Brian Kittle, the division president of Meritage Homes.
He's a good dude. I know him.
He gives back in a lot. I found out talking to him all the different places he does share his time and talent with. And I'm just grateful to be part of that universe. So welcome to the board, Brian, and we're looking forward. Actually, he's had people on his staff that have been doing good with HomeAid over the years, and now they're just going to get more energized and amplified too. Yeah,
I always tell people, I don't want your money, I want your leadership. And we have a number of other applicants in the works. Is that correct?
You know, it's kind of like HomeAid is the overnight sensation that was 5 years in the making.
Yep.
We are really, as I said, Brian is the guy who had the experience of showing up at the mixer the other day, and I didn't know we had these different people in this group. I'm excited because of the people I'm now working with at HomeAid. So it's where the cool kids are. If you want to be a cool kid, come call Dan, call Russ, and let's talk about membership.
That's beautiful. Love that. So as we kind of wrap up here, Russ, you've got a couple of wishes that you've gotten, and rather than you ask for them, I'm going to say what they are for you so it doesn't seem weird. Okay. So in our executive director's kind of wish list, which we're going to expand on this, right out of the gate, you're looking for a lot for benefit house number 3. Now, our benefit houses are a huge part of the way that we fund these projects, like the kitchen renovation, like Dave's House for mental health, like One Heart for Women and Children. So you're already kind of getting your mind around benefit house number 3, and you're looking for a buildable lot here in Central Florida, hopefully donated for free or as cheap as possible so that we can start the visioning of home number 3, so we can start the visioning of how we're going to put folks who are been human trafficked in beds, people who don't have dignity into a place of dignity, put meals inside people's bellies. It's not about the money for us. It's about the end product, because there's always going to be more end product than there is money. But we are always thinking, you're starting to think now about how to raise the money and get that lot. Is that correct?
I hope someone has just gotten a flavor for the diversity of projects that we tackle and the number of issues in the community. And that's the great thing about HomeAid is we can help everybody and anybody that needs it. And when you support the benefit home, you're putting fuel in the fire, gas in the engine, whatever the metaphor is, so that we can get out there and make a difference with all these different agencies.
Love that. And you know, Russ, you said something there that I'd like to add some clarity to. We can help everybody and anybody, but we don't help everybody and anybody. We are very, very conscious of the money we spend, the resources we put out there onto the street to make sure that we're partnering with people that aren't throwing away money, that aren't making mistakes. Everybody we partner with is vetted. Is that correct?
That is correct. They have an application process. They have a board review. Our construction committee gets to know these. We've been talking to some of these agencies for over a year in developing these projects. So we get to know them, know their board, know their funding, know their reputation in the community. And I'm really proud of all the different agencies we've worked with.
Me too. Love that. Number 2, our executive director's wish list is he's looking for a presenting sponsor. It's $3,000.
Yep.
For our cornhole tournament that'll be located April 11th in Winter Garden is that the Paints?
Florida Paints.
At Florida Paints, which is a great sponsor of ours. We're so grateful for them. So if you are a business, it does not have to be in the construction industry, or an individual that would like to either directly or indirectly donate $3,000 and be either our presenting sponsor or just step up and do that. I've had some folks in the past who said, Dan, I'd like to make an anonymous donation. Can you do it and do it through you? And the answer is yes. If you do not want us to post your name or talk about it, we're fine with doing that. We just want to do good work, and whatever that means to you and to your family or business, we'll do it.
You know the examples of people that are doing good work and didn't think they should be publicizing it, and you've convinced people that it's not bad to let people know you're doing good. So when someone sponsors something at HomeAid, put your brand next to ours so people can say, oh, I see that XYZ company is doing good by helping such a powerful organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are now recognized on the state website, the federal website, as a charitable organization. That was a little bit of an issue for a minute there. We got it figured out, right?
Thank you, COVID, for lots of challenges with getting registered. It took a couple of years to clear it all up. But yes, we are a fully registered and recognized 501c3 charity. Everything you do with us is tax deductible to the extent of whatever your background is.
Love that. Okay, and last but not least, sign up and sell out the cornhole tournament. So the cornhole tournament is basically you're just playing cornhole, the game, and you're networking with some of the greatest human beings in Central Florida. The reality here is you're paying a ticket to throw a beanbag in the air, but more importantly, you're hanging out with some of the best human beings in Central Florida who just actually happen to also be division presidents of builders, owners of businesses, workers who are selling at a super high level, people who are really making a difference, that are charging really hard in life and in business, and they choose to spend their energy doing it here with us in a philanthropic method. Is that correct?
Cornhole is one of the great games for conversation and having a beer and just relaxing. And anyone can play it. And we love to get people out. It's just a fun time in a great setting at Florida Paints in Winter Garden. We'll have the bar, we'll have the food, we'll have just a great group of people playing cornhole for about 4 hours.
Love that. So HomeAid Orlando is really here to serve our community. And if you're someone that is interested in serving our community, whether you want to do it financially, you want to get your hands dirty and physically go out into the streets and do work, if you want to be involved in one of our building projects or anything along the way, I encourage you to reach out to Russ Beamer, our executive director, myself, Dan Grieb, on our executive committee, or any of our board members. And to those board members and advisory committee members and folks that are helping out here at HomeAid Orlando, we are truly grateful to all of the help you've given us. And while we can't thank you all individually, Russ and I are looking in these cameras, and we want you to know that we're incredibly grateful for everything you've done. And there are so many people doing such good work that we just, we can't thank them all individually, but we are so incredibly grateful because you and I sit in a unique level. Number one is you get to physically see the aftermath, the wins that occur. And I get to be a person who grew up experiencing homelessness and now gets to come back and do something really good with it.
I didn't realize how deep the issues were and how troubling some of the circumstances are. And then it's just the heartbreak is followed by all the joy that you see in these agencies that are struggling to provide services. And then we come along and make it easier for them. As you say, we provide hope to those who are trying to give hope when someone's feeling down.
Yeah, there you have it. If you want to get involved in providing hope to those that provide hope, we're going to do this every 2 weeks. If you've got questions, concerns, thoughts, you can send them directly to us, DM us on social media, send it through YouTube, any of the platforms, or just reach out to us directly. On behalf of myself, Dan Grieb, Russ Beamer, thank you so much. This is our Executive Cut, Phase 1.
Cut.